The NFL is crazy. What are we living in? This is a weird simulation. Just roll the intro. Homies, what's going on? Thank you so much for joining us for another edition of the Impossible Podcast, a variety podcast, and another episode of NFL Rants. I appreciate you being here as always, even though the uploads are kind of like really sporadic. I try to get an episode published as frequently as I can, but I'm a very busy person. If you don't know, I do teach, so life is busy, but I have other interests outside of school as well, such as this, so I always appreciate you folks coming back. If you do like what you hear and you like listening back on all the Impossible episodes, make sure you hit the follow button on Spotify and the subscribe button on Apple Podcasts so you don't miss whenever I upload an episode, whenever the heck that is. So I've been waiting to talk about free agency, and I thought, okay, there is literally so much to talk about. I can't do this by myself. And I've been going back and forth with my friend Tommy Joel, which you will hear from in a second here. But that being said, I was like, I can't talk about this all by myself. I could talk for an hour and everything, but like this needs to be conversational. I plan to have some other guests on as well, but I had Tommy on this week. Tommy's my friend that I made while working at a summer camp over the summer of 2021. Great guy. One of the funniest, greatest guys I have met. Hilarious, very sweet, very kind. Huge football fan, even though he's in Canada. So really awesome conversation, really cool stuff to talk with him about all the free agency and crazy happenings that have been happening in the NFL. And we had to do it via FaceTime, but we did make it work, and I think the audio sounds pretty cool, pretty good, so I'm really stoked to show you our conversation.
Without further ado, let's get into the madness of free agency.
So welcome to the Impossible Podcast. We got none other than my homie, the one, the only, the Canadian greatest, the almighty Tommy Joel. How you doing, dude?
Hey Eric, so great to be on the pod. It's an honor as a listener. It's an honor to be here today.
For sure, yeah. I don't know if I'll upload the video version of it, but at least the video or audio version of it will be on here. Cool. So why don't you tell me, because I know I don't know if they still have the Canadian Football League. I don't know if it went like defunct or something like that, but I know you're a football fan hailing from Canada. Why don't you tell me about where you're currently residing and where your NFL residence lies?
So I'm currently in Montreal, which is a big city in the CFL, which is a Canadian Football League, and every year I make myself go at least once to support one of the crappiest leagues in North America. But it's good fun. It's good fun, you know. And as an NFL fan, my heart resides with Washington Commanders. So it's a long story, but my grandfather is actually from DC, and he's being a Washington, whatever the name, for many, many years, and now he brought that to me, so I'm a big Commanders fan now.
That checks out. So, speaking of, why don't we honestly start with that, because it's right there. So, I gotta know, as a Commanders fan, well, speaking of, first of all, what are your thoughts on the name change to Commanders? Because they had like 5 different choices for it.
I think they picked the worst one. I was a fan of the football team. Washington football team for me was good. Like, I thought it was retro. I thought it was like a high school vibe.
Yeah, I got used to it. I didn't really mind it, honestly speaking. I mean, I was saying on my earlier, like, 2 NFL episodes ago, but I was like, it's not a great name, but like, we'll get used to it again. Like, everybody thought that Washington football team was the funniest thing when it first, like, started. Or like when it first, like it was so funny because like everything happened, and so Dan Snyder was like, "Yo, let's change the name," and they couldn't figure one out, so they just picked football team and rolled with it for 2 years.
I know.
I just think it's funny. I just think it's hilarious.
One of the worst owners. I mean, yeah, pretty much the worst owner in the NFL.
Yeah, he so I don't know. You heard about the other stuff about him hiding revenue sales from
I
yes.
saw that.
So let's just say Dan Snyder's not doing well. He's not doing well at all, I gotta say.
Awful.
He's already been a problematic figure in kind of like just the franchise's eye and everything, and so I heard that he might have to sell the team now, which I've been wanting him to for a while, but he just is in that position of power. He's not going to, but now he might. So that being said, let's jump on that train. The Carson Wentz trading from Indianapolis to Washington. I gotta know your thoughts about this. What do you think about Carson going to the Commanders?
I had very high expectations for this offseason, QB-wise, for the team. And I was not that happy, but at least they only gave like a 4th and a 6th, if I'm correct, which is fine.
Oh, that's fair.
That's fair. Because compared to that, like the Colts gave so much in 2021 to get Carson Wentz from the Eagles in the first place. So getting him for just a 4th and a 6th is fine.
Yeah.
But I would have rather drafted good QB high up and have him for the future than to do like go get an old QB that won the Super Bowl like 3 years ago or something.
Yeah, it almost kind of seems like, well, like even then Carson Wentz didn't even technically win the Super Bowl. He was on the team, but it was technically Nick Foles that really did anything. But like honestly, so to me it kind of seemed like they were rushing to try and get into the free. It's almost like they wanted to. It's almost imagine like you're trying to get something really, really quickly from the store and everything, and you don't really look at all the options because you have like an hour or something like that, and like you grab like the first thing that you see, even though it's like maybe not the best or anything, or you like didn't have time to really think it over. I feel like the Commanders did that with Carson Wentz, because like literally they could have made any type of move. Like I don't know. They did give up a little for it, but I honestly think Indy is also in a better place as well, because Matt Ryan, in my opinion, is a better quarterback than Carson Wentz, but like he was on a mediocre team, so like there was nothing to do about it.
But same issue, like you have him now for like let's say like 3 or 4 years in Indianapolis, and then what? You know, it's always the same thing, like trading for older QBs.
Yeah, straight up.
And I feel like the Commanders acted quickly because they were in the race for Deshaun Watson, and so they wanted, like, once this trade unfolded, everything like got decided super quick, and they were too scared, I think, to wait for that to happen before trading for someone better than Carson Wentz. Yeah,
that's true. So, speaking of, I have that on my agenda next. Well, let's get the negative stuff kind of like out of the way first. Deshaun to the Browns. What's really funny is that this got like news media coverage and everything, but like usually I actually get my source of news a lot of times from like the NFL Instagram page. Believe it or not, every other like news source was reporting it. Instagram did not even post it whatsoever. Like they basically were like, no, we're not gonna post it. The situation that occurred with like Baker Mayfield and everything, like granted he's not the best quarterback. He's really not. Especially as of recently, whether it's because of the injury or not. But like the fact that they were like, okay, well, we're in the sweepstakes for Deshaun Watson. We're going to go get Deshaun Watson. And then Baker Mayfield finds out about this and is like, well, I don't really want to be on this team anymore if you're like looking for another quarterback to replace me. And then they're out of the sweepstakes, and then they go back into the sweepstakes and end up signing him anyways. So, like, I don't know.
I don't know where he's going to end up. was looking through teams like who might see Baker as a potential trade or a potential acquisition, and I see Pittsburgh, like, that would be fun for me to see in Pittsburgh because I feel like he has that Steeler mentality and he would be so much appreciated in Pittsburgh. But yeah, they have to trade him and adjust off all the value they had in Baker since he's not going to play anyways.
Well, everybody thought that he was going to go to Indy, and then all of a sudden, not Carson Wentz, Matt Ryan went to Indy. Yeah. So that shakes things up because now nobody knows. He's probably going to be a backup quarterback, really, if anything. But also, like, I heard reports that were saying that they were going to try to hang on to Baker Mayfield, and I heard reports that were like they're going to trade him before the draft. I don't really know what's going to happen, but like, the trust is no longer there. Baker wants out of Cleveland. I don't blame him because they pretty much just beat him around the bush. And then it's a weird situation because it's a bad situation because you also don't know if Deshaun Watson's going to be serving like some type of either a criminal sentence or like some type of holdout because of the league. But right now that hasn't been reported. But in the NFL guidelines, it literally says for acts like this, even if you're not criminally charged, you can still be put on the exempt list. And if they don't put him on the exempt list by season start, I'm gonna be a little bit mad. And I was like listening to a podcast, which kind of free plug. There's this podcast called Unsportsmanlike Conduct, and there are these two women that talk football mostly, and they were talking about all this, and they literally said that it's gross to be a football fan when Deshaun Watson's pretty much gets a job, $100 million like that and everything, even if he's not quote unquote guilty. So it's not a good situation at all.
That whole situation is so many red flags, and I don't know why like the media and the NFL are so blind and so passive and neutral in such a situation. Like, he's gonna sell so many. He's like the face of the franchise, of a huge franchise, and he's got no penalty for what he did. So,
well, there's no. It's also stupid too because Calvin Ridley got a season-long suspension for gambling. Which, like, granted, if you're gambling on your own team's games, that's a little bad. But you go an entire season, or you suspend a player for an entire season for gambling on their team. But with players like Tyreek Hill, Kareem Hunt, you like suspend him for 4 games. Ray Rice, you suspend him for 4 or 5 games. Call it good. Like, the priorities aren't straight. It's kind of frustrating.
And it's funny because the NFL makes so much money out of gambling. And all their revenues on is like the Bet99 and all these guys, and they still don't let like their players profit.
Yeah,
and
I know.
Like, this situation is weird because he was on that team, but he was injured, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
those games.
It was. Yeah, I think he was. But it's still like.
Yeah, I know. But a year is like ridiculous.
Yeah, he was injured for like I think the 3 games that he was gambling on, but yeah, a year long is kind of ridiculous. I would understand like, I don't know, maybe half the season, but like the entire year, it's ridiculous. And he already was taking time off anyways because of like mental health issues. Yeah. That was the time they were taking off. But we'll move on from that one because it's a bad situation. I don't understand why I don't understand why Cleveland is compromising their moral dignity just to win some games. Like, yeah, they were in the sweepstakes, but only because of the fact that nobody wants Deshaun Watson. And if you do want Deshaun Watson, what does that say about your organization?
That these issues don't matter to you. Like how I see it personally.
Pretty much. Yeah. It's bad. It's bad, but who knows? We don't know how that's going to turn out. I'll probably make another episode about Baker being traded if he does get traded. I don't even know. Free agency is so much to cap off. There's like 6 moves on here. Anyways, let's move on to you want to go Dolphins or you want to go Raiders?
I I will go Raiders.
Raiders. Okay, so another weird situation because free agency's insane. Davante Adams getting franchise tagged and then traded to the Las Vegas Raiders. Your thoughts on the situation?
First of all, that's on Green Bay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Green Bay franchise tagged the best, in my opinion, the best wide receiver in the game. For what? How many seasons in a row? Like that. For me, that didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And in my mind, if you sign Rodgers to all that money, you need Davante Adams with him, because that's why they're so dominant.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as I saw the trade, I was like, good for Davante Adams, because he's gonna get the money he deserves in an organization that actually takes care of him.
Yeah.
Not just Aaron Rodgers. So.
Yeah, well, in my opinion, the Green Bay Packers front office just hasn't done a good job. And they just haven't. They just have not done a good job in years. And, pretty much this past season was going to be, I kind of knew it from, videos that I was watching that it was going to be pretty much like a quote-unquote last dance season because Davante Adams was probably not coming back. And then what happens doesn't get back. But usually what happens with tagging is that you tag your player, you have him on a deal, and then you trade him maybe halfway through the season. I wasn't expecting him to get tagged and then immediately traded a week and a half after the fact. It was weird.
Yeah. I think they got a lot for him, which makes sense.
Yeah.
So talented, but I don't know how Aaron Rodgers feels right now. He was
well, so apparently, A-Rod he knew that Adams was likely not going to come back to Green Bay, and he still resigned with the Packers, which makes no sense because he claims that he did not want to be part of a rebuild. So he's like, okay, I'm going to sign with the Green Bay Packers, and then Davante Adams got franchise tag. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe they're there for the at least indefinite time being and everything. And then he gets traded and you don't even know. Do you remember what they got for Davante? I thought it was was it 2 picks, I think?
I think 2 first is what
I remember, yes. It was 2 first-round picks, yeah.
Which is huge.
Yeah.
But at the same time, makes a lot of sense because you wouldn't trade him for less than 2 firsts, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, you'd be surprised. Some of these trades that are going down are so dumb. They're so dumb. I think, oh my gosh, we'll talk about that trade where both won as well. But yeah, I'm surprised. I'm surprised A-Rod re-signed. I really am.
Yeah.
I don't know how much longer he's going to stay there either. They've had to rework his money so many times.
I know. I think that's the thing. They just threw so much cash at him.
Yeah.
Sure. I'll take 2 years.
Pretty much, yeah. Speaking of a crap ton of cash, LA Rams, where's their salary cap? Where is it?
I don't know. They need to pay that stadium. That's for sure.
Well,
They need to pay that $5 billion SoFi stadium.
How do they keep signing the players that they're signing? I don't get it. They literally just signed Bobby Wagner, and then they signed Allen Robinson, which I'm mad about as a Pats fan because I wanted Allen Robinson, but of course he wasn't going to come here. So might as well go with the team that just won a championship, I guess.
But then I just listened to Von Miller's podcast and vlog from him making his big decision. And it was funny to see how he really wanted to go back to the Rams.
Yeah.
For the Pro Bowl aspect of the Rams just having so many amazing players. But then he got to the Bills, and that for me doesn't make any sense. I don't understand why he would leave LA to go to the Bills, only other than the fact that he would be the first player in NFL history to get a chip with 3 different teams. That I get, but other than that, I don't understand that move.
Yeah, I think he's just testing the waters. I mean, he probably, when he got traded to the Rams, he probably was like, okay, I'm one of the missing pieces. Between him and OBJ getting signed to the Rams later on in the season, he probably was like, okay, I'm one of the last pieces and everything in the championship caliber type team. So he's probably thinking the same with the Bills. which is kind of a little bit interesting because the AFC is already super stacked. It's kind of insane. Like between Tyreek and the Chargers and pretty much the entire AFC West, which we'll get to the other teams in the AFC West in a second. But like now, especially on the Patriots end, it's not good. It's not good. It's not good at all. And I'm like freaking out because I found out about and we'll talk about that in a second. The Dolphins moving up and the Bills moving up, and I'm like, we're not making the playoffs this year. We are not going to make the playoffs this year.
It's going to be tough. Like, Miami did some great moves this offseason.
Yeah, so the deal, let's move on to that one. Tyreek going to the Dolphins. So they hauled, like, a lot. Like, there was a lot of pretty much everything that they had to put together in that package to get Tyreek Hill, which I was kind of surprised at, but maybe they thought that they should because they weren't a fan of those prospects in the draft, really. Because, like, there's not a whole lot of people. Like, I think, in my opinion, last year's draft was a little bit more hyped and anticipated. This year's draft, I'm just kind of like, sure. That's fine, I guess. They'll make their mark, but they're not, like, as high caliber. But I think the reason for that was because there was, like, 6 quarterbacks in the round that were, like, high profile.
And, like, we're all going to get to see them this year. But that's like, so last year we got to see them, but this year they're going to be starters from week 1, which is really exciting.
Yes.
But, like, the Trey Lance and the Jalen Hurts and all these guys are just going to be great to watch. But, yeah, to come back to the Dolphins, I don't understand, like, I feel like they jeopardized too much for Tyreek Hill. And as good as he is, like, I don't know if that's worth all these draft picks.
Yeah, because they offered, like, was it, how many draft picks? I think there was, like, 4, wasn't there?
I think they got 2 first rounds.
Yeah.
Just, like, with,
I think it was... Yeah, 2 first rounds, maybe like a second and third round of next year as well. I think that was like the only thing that I saw. It was a lot. It was a lot of picks.
It was a lot.
Let's see. Let's check.
A first, a second, a fourth. A first, a second, 2 fourth, and a 6th.
Via Adam Schefter, the absolute unreliable source. He's not reliable. He like ever since he absolutely broke the news about Brady like prematurely retiring, I don't even trust Schefter anymore. Like, and people in the comments in his tweets and everything don't either. They're like, "You sure? You sure about that this time?" Literally every single time they're like, "You sure, Adam? You sure about that?" It's so funny. It's so good. But yeah, I think they might have. Maybe they thought that, like, I don't know what their thought process was. I feel like, I don't know who won the trade because technically they did get Tyreek Hill. I'm more curious about how Tyreek Hill is going to do with Tua. Basically, if Tua doesn't do well this year because of their receivers, then it's Tua's fault. It's just Tua.
And like, what do you do? Like, you gave away like a lot of your picks. Your QB's it's not good
not
enough
great,
for the
yeah.
team around him. So what do you do? Like, you're stuck.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. It's just not worth it because like the team they have now is like they need to do like a good playoff run because otherwise it doesn't make sense to make all these moves.
Yeah. Well, the thing that makes no sense to me, in my opinion, is like the Patriots not like the Patriots have not done a good job at drafting in the wide receiver column at all in the past like 6 or 7 years. The greatest being GOAT blocking wide receiver N'Keal Harry, which, by the way, Devontae Parker coming to the Patriots, they didn't really have to spend all that much for him, which I was kind of okay with. Apparently he was hurt a little bit, but like I'm okay with it. I was like telling you, I'm not super satisfied with it, but we got a receiver who's gonna like stretch the field a little bit more, so I'm okay with it now. I'm hoping we can get more, but we don't know.
Because when you look at it, like all the guys that got either traded or signed, you got Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, Amari Cooper, Allen Robinson, Robert Woods, Stephon Diggs got a huge contract.
Yes, he did.
Christian Kirk, Juju Smith-Schuster, and none of those guys went to the Patriots.
Yeah, I know.
And like, that's pretty much it. Like, you got DK Metcalf might be like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what Seattle is doing. But.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's another thing. So let's talk about that for a second. The huge, like so much so that, and obviously it's not super scientific and not actually really all that sophisticated and everything, but I saw a video where this dude tried to actually do the trade of Russell Wilson to the Denver Broncos and, like, do anything. They couldn't even do it. They sent so much over. Literally 4 picks, 3 players over to Seattle. And, like, not only that, but they got Noah Fant and Drew Lock, which are, like, Noah Fant's decent. I'll say that much. But Drew Lock, oh my gosh, that's who you get back? That's who you get? Awful. Awful.
That's why I'm like, what do you do from here? Like, you lost your heart and soul in defense with Bobby Wagner. So what do you do? Like, are you keeping DK when you could get, like, some nice draft assets?
Honestly, at this point, they have to be in, like, they're pretty much in rebuild mode. Maybe DK will stay and they'll build around DK, but, like, right now it just looks bad for Seattle. It really does.
As much as I like DK, he's not Devontae Adams. He's not that good, I feel like, to be built around.
Yeah.
To be kept as an asset for, like, because even if they draft a QB in, like, this year, even if they draft a QB, it's not going to be on the same time frame as DK. So.
Yeah. Well, we also don't know if Pete Carroll's going to stay either. We don't know if this is going to be, like, his last year coaching or if he's going to, like, be here for another few years. Like, I don't know what the deal with Pete Carroll is because there was a whole narrative of either Russ is leaving or Pete's leaving or both of them are leaving. Like, it basically was like someone's leaving and we don't know who it's going to be, basically. Yeah. They paid a lot. I don't think, and that's the hard thing with the AFC West. Like, you've got, I wouldn't say the Broncos are super stacked per se, but they got Russell Wilson, who's, like, not necessarily the missing piece, but like, the quarterback for Denver has been the weak link for, like, the past many seasons. So, like, people were like, oh, they're going to go Super Bowl now. I'm like, I don't know about that. I don't know. Like, they've got an okay supporting cast. Like, they got a decent defense. They've got all right offense now. Like, maybe they'll keep up, but you also have to think about the highly contested matchups that are going to happen because they meet with their entire division twice. And
which is loaded.
Speaking of, like, the other teams that they're going to have to face against are, I'm so freaking mad about it. The Chargers bulked up on defense, and it makes me so mad. I'm so mad about it. I don't even remember who they got
Khalil Mack from the Bears for.
Yes.
Which I really like. Like, having two dominant, of course, like, let's say they're not in their prime anymore, but having Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack on the same defense.
Yes.
It's going to be a pleasure to watch.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I knew that. So they got J.C. Jackson too. I knew J.C. was probably going to walk. They didn't offer the franchise. They didn't throw the franchise tag on him. I don't know why the Pats didn't do it. Frankly, I don't know if they just, like, needed the cap space elsewhere. I don't know. I literally do not know because, like, if there's any person that I wanted to keep on the roster, it was J.C. Jackson, and they just let him walk. I'm like, there's nothing I can say about that. Like, the Patriots this offseason has made me so mad. Maybe it's because of the fact that, like, we just haven't, like, we did so much last year, and we just have done, like, maybe 1 or 2 moves this year that are kind of notable. But, like,
but even last year, like, all the moves, they were big moves, but they didn't, like,
they were not, like, high-name, yeah. They weren't high-name players. Like, they did get the 2 tight end set of Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry, which worked out-ish. Hunter Henry was a good target for Mac Jones, but Jonnu is not working out the way. Because, like, they had a good tight end set when they had Gronk and Aaron Hernandez, like, around that time period. Like, they used it well. They didn't figure it out this time around. So I think eventually they will, because I think Jonnu's too good to, like, not be used well. They just need to figure out what to do with him, which I don't know what they're going to do, because they now don't have an offensive coordinator because Josh McDaniels is gone to Vegas.
That's right.
That's
good for Vegas, though. That's good for Vegas.
Yeah. But wait, did the Chargers sign anyone else? I know they got Khalil Mack and J.C. Jackson. I don't know if they got anyone. I feel like they got someone on offense. I don't remember who.
I don't see who. Could it be like a running back?
I think they re-signed Mike Williams, I will say. They did re-sign...
Oh, I think, yeah.
Yeah. He was re-signed. I think that was it, though. I'm pretty sure that was the bulk of what happened.
Yeah. I mean, they were good last year. Like, they didn't need to do that much this year.
They didn't. So, but I think the reason why Patriots fans like me are panicked is because now the AFC's stacked, and it's going to be hard to make the playoffs now, which, like, honestly, all of the AFC West could possibly make... I mean, obviously only 3 out of 4 of them can make the playoffs, but they're all playoff caliber teams in some capacity. Because I couldn't even predict who the final standing playoffs could be for AFC right now. And, like... Tom Brady coming back to the Buccaneers at this point in time is literally such a cakewalk because he's got still the main components of his team, and there's no one in the NFC right now besides maybe the Rams, and that's it. Like, everyone else could pretty much go take a hike because, like, he's got, like, a straight-up easy walk besides the Rams straight to the Super Bowl again.
I know.
Like, it is such a good time to be in the NFC.
I know. And, like, I'm looking at it, like, Cardinals should be better than what they did last year.
Oh, they should have been. They started out hot. They absolutely burnt out near the end. I wanted them to do well. That was one team where I was like, I want them to make a deep playoff push, and they just didn't at all.
Kyler Murray just didn't show up during the playoff games, so.
Yeah.
And they lost Christian Kirk to Jacksonville, which I thought was a real nice receiver to have.
Yeah, I mean, what was it? He got such a hefty deal with Jacksonville. Literally such a hefty deal. Which I don't know if he was worth all that money, but they got him. Like, Jacksonville's doing the thing that New England did last year. But, like, it's almost like worse receivers. They're not like worse per se. They're just kind of like a tier down from the receivers and like people that we got from last year. So it's fine, I guess. I don't know how Jacksonville is going to do. I don't understand why they hired Doug Peterson. I think that's such a stupid, boneheaded move. It is so bad. He's not a good coach. He's not.
Coaching in the NFL is such a clique. Like, owners are like, oh, if that guy coached over there and he's not coaching anymore, I'm going to get him.
Yeah.
And you're like, and why would you do that? Like, just look at the young coach. Look at, like, Sean McVay's of the world. Like,
yeah. Well, straight up, so, like, there was that, but, like, Doug Peterson fell off. And maybe it's, like, a change of scenery type thing, but is it, though? Because, like, I wouldn't say that because Doug Peterson literally in his last year, like last game, took out all of his starters and like pretty much just very blatantly threw a game like for the sake of like just giving up on the season. Like it was ridiculous. That was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. Like I watched it live and I remember being like, are you really doing this right now? And then he got fired after that because, you know.
But his new players are going to remember that. Like, that's not something players forget. They're going to be like, well, if he did that with them, like,
yeah.
Why wouldn't he do it with us again?
It's not It's not Urban Meyer level of bad, but it's like still kind of bad.
If that's your like your benchmark, that's that shows a lot of your.
Yeah, there's like good head coach. So there's like Bill Belichick tier of head coach, and then there's like Bill Belichick, Andy Reid tier, and Sean McVay tier of head coach.
Mike Tomlin.
And then there's Urban Meyer. That's like the lowest of low right there. God, awful guy, straight up.
Awful guy. He's still getting paid by Jacksonville, though.
Unfortunately.
For the next 4 years as well. I mean, for the...
He didn't even last a season. That's insane to me. I don't think that's happened in like 10 plus years. I'm pretty sure that happened one other time. I don't remember who it was, but it was one other time. You got to be pretty bad for you not to last an entire season.
And he was supposed to be that coach legend from like the NCAA and like turn a franchise around and all that stuff.
Well, like, do you know the whole deal about his Florida Gators team? Like that Florida Gators team that won the national championship?
No.
Oh my gosh, it had the weirdest, like, scary... Like, they should do a documentary series about that team and, like, how they ended up. Because literally on that Florida team, there was Tim Tebow, there was Aaron Hernandez... And I'm pretty sure Cam Newton was on there at some point in time, too. So literally, like, 3 of the wildest goose personalities in, like, forever. And then, like, I think there was another dude on there who, like, was also convicted of some other crime as well. Basically just a bunch of, like, crazy personalities. Maybe not criminals necessarily, but, like, just up there personalities that you're like... Why did this work? Why did they do anything?
Yeah, common denominator is always, it's only...
And then you got Urban Meyer. And then you literally had Urban Meyer coaching. I'm like, oh my god, what the... That was the team. But straight up insane offseason. What do you want to see? Have the Commanders signed anyone recently? I don't think they have they?
I don't think so. It hasn't been a big... I mean, no, Carson Wentz the only marquee signings this offseason for the Commanders.
Yeah. I mean, so we did find out today, speaking of, like, Commanders and Steelers and everything, rest in peace, Dwayne Haskins, for all the listeners. As of recording this on April 9th, Dwayne Haskins passed away. I think he was like 26, 25, somewhere around there. I was in a bakery when I found out. I literally was in a bakery, like, talking to my friend and, like, eating my donut. And, like, I found out the news and I literally, like, almost dropped my donut on the ground. Like, it's just... I was like, I know he hasn't been, like, a full, like, focal point personality, but people knew who he was. And, like, he did make mistakes of, like, you know, clubbing during the COVID times and everything, doing, like, kind of breaking COVID procedures. But, like, still, he was a pretty reputable dude in the league. People knew who he was. So it was, like, it was weird. It was just a bad, like, just not good headline to see. And, like, I got multiple tweets from Twitter just pretty much being like, yep, here's the news.
And being drafted by Washington team... He was a captain his first season as a rookie, and then even though it didn't go that well with Washington at the time. I feel like you never want to see that happening ever, and it's a sad day.
Yeah, it's not great. Hopefully they're doing okay down there, but I mean, he was like the third string quarterback, I think. I don't know if he and Mason Rudolph were like, because I think Mason Rudolph was second string, he was third string when Ben was still there, which I think there was like interchangeable, but that was the basic kind of like premise of it. But still, very bad, sad news and everything. Hopefully we won't have terrible off-field incidents. Like, for example, I mean, like, because you heard about the Alvin Kamara thing, like, right after he was in the Pro Bowl, right? You heard about that, right?
Oh, did he? Wait, was it a car accident as well?
No, he wasn't in a car accident. So Alvin Kamara literally got out of the Pro Bowl, and like the Pro Bowl was a joke anyways, but he literally like got out of playing in the Pro Bowl and he got arrested.
I remember that.
He and like from like I think
in
it was
Vegas. Was that in Vegas?
it was yeah.
Yeah.
He got arrested I think from hitting someone in a club. Yeah, that was what it was. I'm like, geez, just like, can we get out of any type of trouble? What's going on? I don't even know. All right. I have a hypothetical few questions for you. I have a few hypotheticals. I guess you could call it a would you rather type NFL edition. Would you rather have, for the rest of your franchise's career, would you rather have first year Josh Allen or first year Mitch Trubisky?
That is too easy. Like, Josh Allen, Mitch Trubisky is...
Okay, but like, think about it. First year Josh Allen, think of how bad Josh Allen was his first year with the Buffalo Bills.
I know, but the upside, even year one...
Yeah, that is true.
...was so good. Just a huge guy, fast, physical. I don't know, just like such a good leader. Nothing against Mitch Trubisky, but...
I mean, like, Mitch was not part of a good system. Maybe he'll be better with the Steelers. We don't know. Oh, speaking of, I completely forgot that Marcus Mariota got signed to the Falcons, which is going to be
good for him.
Interesting.
I always liked Mariota with the Titans.
I'm kind of curious to see how he's going to run with that offense. I'm curious because they've got Patterson and they've got Pitts. Like, I don't know how that's going to go. It could be fun to watch. It could be bad to watch. I don't know until I know.
Yeah. Because last year was bad.
Last year was so mediocre. Oh my gosh. I could not stand to watch them at all. It was ludicrously bad. Like, what was it? Oh my gosh. The game that they had against the Patriots did not play great either, but the Falcons they got shut out 25-0. And that was like the funniest sequence because they knew they were down and they were down like 4 minutes left in the game and everything. Josh Rosen, did you watch that game?
I didn't watch
Oh my gosh. So they put in both of their backups. It was the funniest game of the season. I'm not even lying to you. It was so funny. Because it was on, because they've been streaming games on Amazon Prime. It was the Thursday night game. So I watched it on Amazon Prime in my bedroom and literally 4 minutes left in the game, they put in Josh Rosen and their third string because of what happened to Josh Rosen. So they put Josh Rosen out there and everything. They're like, all right, just see what you can do, I guess, right? Literally, first pass, he gets pick sixed immediately. Literally the first play, first pass, he gets picked off by Kyle Van Noy and just taken to the house completely. I'm like, oh my god. So they took him out, put the third string in, and then the third string quarterback got picked off too. It was the funniest last 4 minutes of football I've ever seen. And like, it would be bad. I would probably be feeling differently about it if it wasn't the Patriots. Or maybe I would be. I don't know. I mean, I can't say anything. The Patriots got absolutely smacked in the wild card. Freaking awful.
Yeah, but Josh Rosen's career has just been a rough one.
I mean, yeah, he could not back up his comments from years past. Could not back up. All right, so that's the first would you rather. The second would you rather, running back edition. Would you rather build around Derrick Henry, or would you rather build around Alvin Kamara? Depends. I feel like
it may sound weird, but I will pick Alvin Kamara.
Yeah. Why so?
The running back game, the way Derrick Henry runs the ball is so physical. I don't see how he's gonna keep up. He just might, but I don't see how he's gonna keep up running the ball so hard and getting so many hits and so many touches each game.
Yeah.
Whereas Alvin Kamara did that his first couple of years, but then he switched his game to being such a threat in the passing game that I would rather build around Alvin Kamara.
Yeah. I'm a little afraid, too, that Derrick Henry's going to have like a Marshawn Lynch type arc where like Marshawn Lynch had like this huge quake like set of years with Seattle from like 2011 I think to like 2015 where he was just like pretty much unstoppable, and then you had just like the drop off there. I'm afraid that that's going to happen. I think it might also just depend on the style of offense that you're looking to put together. Like Mike Vrabel's offense is it feels one-dimensional at times, especially because like if you shut down Derrick Henry, what are you going to do? Throw it to AJ Brown? If you cover AJ Brown and you shut down Derrick Henry, there's nothing else the Titans can do. There's nothing else they got.
That's on Tannehill. Like, as he's not good enough to be a passing first option QB.
He revived,
yeah. So much.
He like revived his career in Tennessee and everything, but like having the first seed and blowing it they didn't really blow because the Bengals ended up going to the Super Bowl anyways. But like that, like the way that Tannehill played. Not just, like, in that playoff game, but also in, like, the second half of the season. I don't know if it was really it wasn't all his fault, but he could have done a little bit better, probably. But I think it just depends on the scheme. I think the scheme that they put around Kamara is a little bit better. I don't know what they're going to do now. Did they even announce who's coaching the Saints right now? I don't even remember. Because Sean Payton stepped down. But what's really funny, oh my God, speaking of, have you heard about that show with Sean Payton?
I have not.
It's like, oh my God, I don't remember what the show, I think it's, I have to see. Kevin James literally plays Sean Payton. It's freaking ridiculous. What's it called? It's called Home Team, yeah. Apparently, like, it's called Home Team, and he, like, steps down from coaching and, like... Oh my God!
That's an old show. Like, I don't know. Okay, 2022. My bad.
Taking the Field, January 28th. Yeah, okay, it's still there. That's funny. It was a while ago. It follows Peyton's life away from the NFL during his year-long suspension in 2012, stemming from the Saints Bounty Gate scandal. What the heck?
It's so funny that they got Kevin James to play that.
That's what's even. Yes, it's so funny.
My God.
Movie was produced by Adam Sandler and hits the small screen. Oh my God. I want to watch that just to see how ludicrously awful it is.
And Taylor Lautner as well in the movie.
I know. What is that even? Oh my God.
What is that? Oh my God.
Who decided on that? I mean, Adam Sandler, apparently.
Netflix. Is that Netflix production?
Netflix and Adam Sandler, yep. Which, like, I mean, if it's, like, Uncut Gems, then I would take it, but, like, no. Probably not. No. Oh, my gosh. Okay, so, third, maybe last one. I'll see if I can think of another one. But third, would you rather? Would you rather, for a wide receiver, would you rather have Tyreek Hill, but he has slower speed? Or would you rather have prime time Megatron Calvin Johnson, but like all of his stats get declined by like 3?
I think Megatron any day. Megatron was so good.
He was nasty. Like, he straight up was.
So good. Like, watching him, he's like a tight end physical. He's as physical as tight end.
Yeah.
But he's a wide receiver.
Yeah, straight up. I mean, like, oh my God, do you remember when, I don't know how much you were following football back then, but like when Chad Ochocinco got like traded to the Patriots, and I don't even think he like played a game. I really don't think he played one game. Or maybe he did and I didn't see it, but I was just like, what the heck is going on? I straight up just like, I was so confused. It was bad. I don't know but like the offseason's still happening. We don't know what else is going to happen. I mean, Devontae Parker just got traded to the Pats. Who knows? Because who do we still have for notable free agents? We still got Julio Jones, and we still got
Jarvis Landry, which I like.
Oh, Landry. I forgot Landry still. And OBJ hasn't signed with anyone either. So we still got those folks, which is why I'm thinking that the Pats could snag either OBJ or Julio Jones. The only reason why I think they could is that, one, I don't think anyone's really going to be fighting for him much. And if they are, like, they're probably going to be, like, maybe giving up a little bit of dent in their cap. But, like, they're both injury prone, and it's a very low risk. So, I mean, I don't know if OBJ actually, like, straight up said this, but no, Jarvis Landry was the one who said it. Jarvis Landry was the one who was like, I want, like, an $80 million contract. And I'm like, really, dude? Really?
Who's going to give it? Like, maybe Jacksonville's going to give it.
If Jacksonville's cap isn't gone by now, I don't even know what. If Jacksonville got Jarvis Landry, I would maybe possibly think about maybe they have a shot. But I don't know.
I have a would you rather for you.
Oh, yeah?
Patriots fan, would you rather? So, would you rather have Tom Brady stay when he left for the Buccaneers, or never have Mac Jones? So either you keep Brady when he decided to leave, or you have Mac Jones today. But you don't have Mac Jones if Tom Brady stays with the Patriots.
That's a good one. The way that I see it, if the Pats didn't let Brady walk, they wouldn't have realized how flawed their structure was. What I wanted to have, like, Brady pretty much in the, like, I'm pretty sure they had the same set of receivers in 2020 as they did in 2019. 2019, they made the playoffs, got knocked out by Tennessee, like, first round. But that was Tom Brady, like, making that happen, pretty much just throwing it right at dudes' chests, like, at any point. If they miss it, they just are bad because it's Tom Brady. He's throwing it right at the numbers. But if Brady didn't leave, then we wouldn't have known, okay, we need to go get a quarterback for the future. Because, like, that's the thing with some of the future of, like, some of these teams. You're like, okay, well, if you're not thinking about the future, then what's going to happen? Because I knew that there was going to be a time without Brady. I just didn't know if it was going to come with him retiring or if it was going to come with him doing stuff. I would say that we needed to have Mac Jones at the time that we needed to have Mac Jones, in my opinion. But I will say, though, in my opinion, that I actually didn't want Mac Jones to begin with. I actually wanted Justin Fields. I think Mac Jones works a little bit better in the system. I would have been interested to see what Justin Fields would have done. I thought Fields was a little bit more athletic. That's why I was more inclined. But, I mean, maybe Justin Fields is going to be a good quarterback, and he's just a product of the system right now and how bad the Bears organization is right now.
I know. That's fair. That's fair.
Do you think? Yeah, go ahead.
I would take Mike Jones as well over.
Yeah.
3-4 more years of Tom Brady.
Yeah, I wouldn't change it because, like, if we still had Brady, we wouldn't have been as exposed as we are. So that's probably my thought process. Do I hate not having Brady? Yes, but, like, I mean, we've got Mac Jones. I think he's going to be okay. Is he going to be Brady level? Probably not. No one's ever going to be Brady level. But, I mean, we needed to get a new quarterback eventually, whether or not we liked it or not. So there was that. There was something I was going to ask about Green Bay. I don't remember. It was... I feel like
I have something to say about Green Bay, though. While you're thinking about it, I have to say, Darius Smith choosing to go to the Vikings.
That's hilarious. It was so funny.
I love that move. I was like, you know what? You don't want to sign me? I'm gonna go on the next day and play you twice a year.
Oh, that's the thing. That's the thing I was thinking about. with the crazy, weird state of the NFC North, I believe their division is, who's going to take that? Who's going to take that?
Lions are going to be good.
Yeah, like I don't in that division, I don't know who would actually be crowned like champion of that. I don't think it's going to be the Lions because they're still in rebuild mode. I would say if I were to guess right now, very very early, I would say Vikings, Green Bay, Bears, Lions with Wade.
Kirk Cousins.
I mean, Kirk Cousins isn't good. Well, they said that, like, we gave them way too early power rankings, and we were like, oh, the Vikings could be really, really good this year. And then they were like, they lost games, like, by a field goal or so.
They started well. Yeah, that's right. They started very well. I was surprised.
Yeah.
But then came back to her.
So, it's a weird offseason, but Madden's going to look weird next year.
I have an honorable mention related to this pod. So, as we all know, listening to this pod, Eli Apple got burned many times.
Yes.
During the Super Bowl this year, and he still got a pretty nice contract.
Yeah, why did they decide to keep him? Why did they decide? I don't even... I heard that he got re-signed, and he's like, I'm going to be back better next year. And I'm like, no, you're not, dude. You're going to get burnt again and again and again.
It's a 1 year, $4 million. So it's like a small...
Fair enough, but that's such a liability. But, I mean, they did get an offensive lineman, though. They did. I don't remember who it was that they got, but they are addressing the offensive lineman need, and they might draft on the tackle side as well. I'm assuming. They've got the pieces there. They don't really need to move too much. They just have to build.
Oh, they got a bunch. They got Alex Kappa. They got Ted Karras. And...
Oh, they did? They did.
Collins.
Oh, that's another thing. The Pats don't have offensive linemen. Oh my God, we're screwed. We're screwed. Like every time someone was making a move in the AFC, I was like, the Patriots are getting worse by not doing anything.
Yeah, because they're losing players as well. They're not only not doing anything, they're losing players.
Yeah, that is true. That's why I'm like, oh my God, okay. So I'm like, that's why I'm like, I don't even know if we'll play second next year in the division. I don't know. I literally don't know. I told my girlfriend that, and she was like, oh no, please just pick another team, which is why I bought all this.
That's good.
I'm at least I'm like a football fan, so I'm like, okay, I'll cheer on teams that aren't the Chiefs and that aren't the Giants. I'll take that.
Being from New England, you pretty much have to be a Patriots fan. So you get to pick a second team just because you're from
Yes.
New England.
Well, because we've had it good for too long. I think if anyone needs to win the Super Bowl next, it's got to be... I want Buffalo to get to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And they need to win it because I feel so bad for their 4 straight Super Bowl losses.
I know.
Their 4 straight Super Bowl appearances, they're only 4, and they lost every single one of them. Like, in what dimension? They need to get there, and they need to win it. I will let them do it for maybe 1 year.
They have everything to win this. I mean, every year they got pretty much everything.
Oh, yeah. We forgot to mention Juju going to the Chiefs. Forgot that.
For like a 1 year, $3 million contract. I don't understand what happened with Juju.
I don't know. It's I don't know, but it's an absolute TikTok move. Ayo. Corvette. Oh my gosh.
Good old Juju. You was too focused on the TikTok, the games.
I was very okay, so he I think one of the reporters actually said, they were like, someone literally asked Juju, they're like, are you gonna make TikToks with Jackson? Someone literally asked him that, and he was like, no, I'm not making any TikToks, I'm focusing on my work on the field. I was like, yeah, he probably realized when he got absolutely popped by the Bengals.
I know, but it's good for him. I feel like there's an opening spot in Kansas City for like a very good receiver.
Yeah.
And he might just take it. Because he's super talented, so he might just show the entire league how good he can be when into it and focused and with a good team.
Yeah. So I mean, it'll be interesting. We don't know. The offseason isn't over yet. It's not over yet. Maybe there'll be more. Maybe there'll be other splashes. But, like, all the stuff happened, like, within a month. So, like,
I know.
Too much to unpack. But it's there. All right, Tommy. I appreciate you very much. Those folks that are listening on the podcast end of things, thank you so much for listening. Make sure you follow on Spotify, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, and give a rating, give a review anytime. Tommy, thank you very much for joining for this episode of NFL Rants. It was awesome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Eric. It's been a real honor to share the pod with you for this, so thank you so much.
I will probably have you on at some other point as well if any other crazy stuff happens. I mean, you have weekends, I have weekends. It'll be a good time.
All good.
All right.
All good.
Okay. Tommy, what should the listeners do when they're on their way through living existence?
So I think they should be good to themselves along the way.
You think they should be good to themselves along the way? I think they might. Hey, listeners of the Impossible Variety Podcast, be good to yourself along the way. Appreciate you listening. See you next time.